Dave Craven's present, Steve Denny present.
Lisa Floyd present.
Okay, we have a quorum for the meeting. Next section is approval of the meeting minutes from March 6th, 2025. Has everyone been able to review those minutes? Any corrections need to be made? Okay, if there's no corrections to be made, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for March 6th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes have been approved. Going to section 4, old business. It says we don't have any old business. Okay. So we'll go into new business. The first order is the resolution 25-2, repealing the blight resolution 2501.
I'll go ahead and get things going here. So basically, here a couple months ago, your board had established and had approved resolution 25-01. This was in regards to what we call kind of a blight resolution. We'll kind of give a little bit of background information. Back in 2014, we had, as a town, had established mainly the downtown area as a redevelopment area. And in doing so, that made the town eligible for Okra funds for a grant at that time. And then in the meantime, as things progressed and so forth, you want to take over?
Yeah.
As things progress, then in 2017, there was identified a need to then reestablish that area, but then also enlarge it a little bit, and then call it and what's called and deemed a consolidated redevelopment area. But what had happened was we were notified here this past year that Okra was opening up another grant, a grant that would benefit the downtown area. And when that came open, a part of that is that in best practice, we need to have this blight resolution updated every 10 years. So looking back in our records, it was identified that in 2014, those developments took place, appearing that then that development then was outdated and wasn't current, wasn't meeting that best practice standard. And so then that was kind of the steps that we took. We started with the RDC. The RDC then approved then your resolution, which accepted the new blight resolution. Then it moved forward to Plan Commission. The next month at Plan Commission, they supported your decision to accept this as a redevelopment area, updating this. And then after that, shortly, we've kind of coincide during this time. Our legal team, Dinsmore, has been doing a great job working through all of our TIF district developments. We currently have 4 of those. The fourth one was the Serenity development here, but they're piecing together from late 1990s all the way up here through mid 2020s, and trying to help piece together how they all kind of come together and play and interact with each other. So in those researches, it was discovered that there was some development that took place in 2017. So in 2017, what had taken place was then that repeal of the 2014 developments and then reestablish that area. That being said, council has been working through this and they have determined that, based on the documents that have been put in front of your board as well as Plan Commission are basically null and void, unfortunately. They're tied to resolutions that are no longer in effect. So what we need to do tonight, we're asking your board to consider, is repealing your resolution 25-01 via 25-02 to be able to correct this. To then move forward, what we're looking at is We believe that the 2017, because it is still within that 10-year period, it still meets the statute requirements. There's been communication with Okra. Okra is also working with the town as well as the legal team there at Dinsmore. There were two pieces of additional best practice standards that have been developed since 2017. There's a housing and urban development piece to it, and there's an additional Indiana State Code that has been recommended to add into this resolution. So those two components are not currently existing in 2017's resolution, but we believe at this point we're good to go to still be eligible for our grant application that's coming up in July. However, if not, we have the month of June to get everything right, back in order, get those two new components added into an amended 2017 resolution. So if we find that we do that, we'll definitely be back at our June meeting and we'll start those processes again. But for tonight, what we have kind of on the table is just approval of that 2502 to repeal what step we took place in, I believe it was March. Is that March RDC meeting? There's any questions for me? Carrie, I know Carrie's been working with Okra and Dinsmore on this, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
I would only add, commissioners, that in essence, in a nutshell, what we did in 2025-01 was we were amending our resolutions from 2013-14 that we learned later had already been repealed or rescinded by the 2017 resolution. So in essence, we can't amend something obviously that's already been repealed. So that's what we want to repeal, what we already approved. We believe under the statute, the 2017 should be sufficient for Okra. However, if that department says, no, we need some additional language, we'll be ready to basically change a little bit 2025-01 with some language, and we can go through the process pretty seamlessly and be compliant within the time frame that Denise and her team, the town, needs to go forward.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay, I'd like to go ahead and have a motion repealing the 2501 resolution and correcting that with 25-2. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? 2502 passes. Next item of business is the Pendleton Recreation Impact Fee Update.
Yes. My name is Joe Knoll, and I'm the interim director of Falls Park. And I'm here on behalf of the Pendleton Fall Creek Parks and Recreation Board regarding the Pendleton Recreation Impact Fee Update 2025. The park currently has in place the Park Impact Fees Zone Improvement Plan and companion ordinances as adopted in 2022. This plan and ordinance was adopted by the council in April of 22 and went into effect in October of 22. This plan looks at a current level of service provided by the park specific to the park and recreational infrastructure and determines future needs based on projected growth over the next 5 to 10 years. This plan provides for a program to fund the capital costs of new park infrastructure necessary to serve new development within the town by requiring new development to pay an impact fee representing the development's proportionate share of the cost. These park impact fees only apply to residential development. By state statute, this plan is only valid for 5 years and is due to be replaced in October of 2027. With the projected continued growth of our town, the need of maintaining and expanding the park system and its recreational amenities is crucial will be a challenge should we not take steps to update this ordinance. As you know, the town has a road impact fee zone improvement plan ordinance that came into effect approximately 10 months prior to the parks plan and ordinance. The town recently started work on their next 5-year plan with intent to have the final plan and ordinance adopted by May of 2026. To better align with the timing for adoption and full effect of the new road impact fee zone improvement plan, the park wishes to also initiate its efforts now. The park also realized another value in moving forward will be complement the timing of the park master plan update. V3, led by Sarah Evans and Chuck Lehman, was highly recommended to the park. Park feels very confident in their services and trusts they will do a great job working with the park board, staff, and legal advisory committee members, as well as the town council on this update. V3 has provided the park with the scope of services. I think you guys were forwarded that for a professional service. The full scope of services has been provided for your review. And as we anticipate this process taking approximately 6 to 8 months for completion, we wish to start as soon as possible. The compensation for such services will cost the park $41,750. As this expenditure was not anticipated for 2025, the park would greatly appreciate RDC's consideration to help cover the cost of these so we can proceed this year. And with that, I thank you for your time and consideration. If you have any questions, I'm ready to entertain those now, or Kogu is here, and also Denise has been very instrumental in this process. Any questions?
Has anyone else in the town leadership worked with this company before? Are you familiar with this company?
V3.
V3?
They were recommended by A&F Engineering, who is doing our road impact fee plan. They unfortunately do not specialize in park impact fees, and that Lehman was who they recommended. And this is kind of a, I don't know, like a side or subsidiary of that group, but they are very detailed in the work. Their scope was phenomenal.
They've recently completed plans for Noblesville, Greenfield, Barbersville, and some other areas in the donut area that they're very familiar with.
Okay.
The speaker. Okay, you go ahead.
Commissioners, if I may, we had a discussion earlier with the town, so with Denise, Carrie, Hannah Rose, about this matter coming before the commission. One of the things that I raised is, just whether or not this commission is able to use TIF dollars, so tax increment financing dollars, to fund a request as this. There are certain as I'm sure you're aware, there's certain statutory limitations where we can use TIF dollars. There may be other, if we had additional monies in the commission that maybe came from the town or other leases, we talked about that may be permissible. My initial reaction to this, and we can look at it further, is that this would not be a permissible use of TIF dollars because it's not a particular project. It's really, and I know this study is important to the Parks Board. So, and I don't want to weigh in on any of that piece. It's just whether or not this commission, this body could authorize TIF dollars for, and would this be a legally permissible use, such as a park project or something that would touch or be either in an allocation area or to or for the benefit of an allocation area. Certainly, there are many projects I'm sure that this commission has supported in the past, but this is while it's a professional service agreement, and we in this body could authorize those, and whether it's looking at a particular project, this is looking at a particular statutory requirement for impact fees, which the town is undergoing as well right now. I'm happy to look at it further. And we can provide an ultimate opinion, but I would just recommend, at least this evening, that the commission, that you don't take any action, at least approving it until we can vet it, fully. So, and I'm happy to get into that more. I'm happy to provide, either answer questions or certainly provide a summary if you like, what are permissible uses of TIF dollars. Certainly I know our financial advisor, Reedy, could also do the same as we have gone through. But
So you mentioned something about other other funding sources for it that are under their discretion, whether it be town funds or is there anything outside of the TIF funds at your discretion that could be used for this?
You can use them. So you can use the park impact fee fund. I think it's got around 100,000. That can be used to update their impact fee study.
But that would be through the park.
That would be through the park, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not aware, and we've discussed at least with respect to this commission, if we have any additional sources of revenue that are outside the TIF dollars. I don't believe we do in our discussion today. Is that accurate?
I do believe that is correct. Well, we do have some bonds and leasing, but I think those are earmarked for other projects. Would not extend to the park system from my understanding. I did reach out to Reedy Financial today. Recall that annual spending fund that we went through that process in November and December that basically outlines what projects and expenditures you're anticipating to take place in 2025. That is a new program. I think we're all kind of working through that and kind of learning as we go. But within that, we had anticipated about 300,000 capital projects and for 2025 to take place. In doing that, a lot of municipalities, and I believe I recall was the presentation that was provided by Reedy and the documentation that I had reviewed, that it was inputted very general. So it wasn't specific to specific projects, giving and lending to a little bit more flexible use. However, in learning all this as well today, I would think it would be a good idea for us to take some time to allow Reedy to take a dive into the impacts that this could or could not take place, for this 2025 year calendar. It may not have any, bearing with the outcome or anything and be completely supported in funding, but maybe that could allow also legal to look into to see if there's any other avenues or opportunities to be able to help support. Because I know impact fees are infrastructure driven, and the park system is very important to our community, and that growth in infrastructure to support new development and growth in our area is very, very important to all of us. But yes, so I just want to make sure that, the conversation are taking place. That maybe we can continue until June's meeting.
Yeah.
I think it'd be important for the board to understand the permissible uses now and in the future as other projects come in front of us to know what we could use TIF funds for.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do that.
Yeah, and we talked about that today, and he offered to, kind of go through that with us.
So it's kind of like if you can't touch it or see it.
But by statute, operational expenses are excluded to use TIF dollars. So if we ever thought that we needed to have a full-time employee or something like that, then this commission would need to look either through the town, through a budgetary item or something like that. We just couldn't use TIF dollars for that.
Architectural engineering. Property act. Capital.
When does V3 need to have an answer? Well, I guess they're just gonna wait
So
until.
they've been calling and asking,
Yeah.
Give me till Thursday night.
Yeah.
So, I can give them an update on it and tell them there certainly wouldn't be any action until your June meeting. In the meantime, we'll pursue other avenues for financing this in the meantime, but I'd still like for you to take it under advisement, and if you could research that, would be very much appreciated.
It's more to be unaligned with when the town is doing their impact fees, and the parks would be on the same time frame instead of that lag of a year.
Well, thank you. I, just speaking for myself, anything, the commission can do to help the park with anything like this. I think we'd like to help, just legally. We just gotta wait
I
and see.
appreciate it, and I thank you for your consideration.
So, I guess we'll put a pause on this until we, get further information from legal in the town. Okay. Next item on the agenda is, land acquisition.
So what a great segue. So whatever you do for the park. Again, this is Mr. Gardner. He's the only one down there. Okay, so, part of the business park trail, I think, Stephanie, do you think you can go to the GIS? And zoom in on the triangle property. In the meantime, there's, an aerial photo here that Stephanie will bring up. Then you've got the appropriation sheet. Oh, wow, you're fast. Good job. Can you turn off the zoning? Because it makes it look like that area is two parcels up there. Yeah, see the layer symbol? Go down. Yeah. Go to the one that looks like sheets of paper stacked on top of each other. Go up a little bit more. Over. Yeah, there it is. Nope, the one next to it. That one. Yeah, just turn off zoning. So this is the appropriation report as of the end of this month, so yesterday. It's somewhat up to speed. There might be some, because Kelly's been gone, there might be some expenditures that are not on that. This is the rough sheet that we use. The other one with the color, the aqua on it, the greenish aqua. I guess that's not really aqua, but anyway, this is sort of the working budget that we use for 2025. So one of the things going to the appropriation report, if you look under engineering, you'll see that we've expended about 220%. The reason that is that's the engineering that we're doing for the business park trail. And so we have to pay that and then we get reimbursed 80% when that back from NDOT and the MPO, MCOG. When that comes back to us, that won't go to that line item. It'll go to the TIF fund general. So even though it looks like we're expending a lot of money, just know that 80% of it's coming back. The current TIF fund balance is at 1,182,000. So it's still doing very well this year. The one other adjustment that you'll see as far as projects, if you go to the spreadsheet, the other spreadsheet is downtown revitalization plan. We'll use 70,000 for that. Instead of using what we budgeted 35,000. Because of some other projects that are being used with other funds. That's the one place where we can, you guys are the one place where we can pull some funds out to cover the full 70,000 versus originally the thought was that RDC would pay for half of it. And what I'm leading up to is, as we have been doing the engineering, we discovered, the planning engineering discovered that the original crossing for the business park trail was gonna happen here where there used to be a bridge back when I was a kid. This is where the old sewer plant was. This is the triangle property that RDC acquired. And then what we discovered is because, as you can see, these heavy lines, these are transmission lines that actually feed our substations. Comes across here, so Duke owns those. They won't allow us, they won't move this, so we need to move the bridge up to here. And so working with Fall Creek Regional Waste District, they're gonna give us a 20-foot easement across the north part of their property, right? Then what we'd like to do is acquire this property, and it is where the cabin used to be. In fact, you can still see the chimney is in this area, this the drive. And there's a property line here. It's hard to see. Here's the other property line, and then of course along Mill Road in Fall Creek Regional Waste District. So as we put the bridge in place, If we put the bridge in place, certainly the point. It doesn't show up. It's the stronger. It won't. They're stronger. Okay. We would burn it out. Here, can you get to the other one in the conference room? So what we're gonna have to do is put the bridge here, and then we'll use a 20-foot permanent right-of-way permanent easement up to this point. And then get off the Fall Creek Regional Waste District to bring the trail up to here. Most likely it'll come down here, parallel Taylor Street, and then connect up to trail sidewalks. Rest away down Taylor Street to May. Thank you. Okay. So once again, move the bridge up to here. We'll come across on a Fall Creek Regional Waste District is going to give us easement that we want to get off of that property as soon as we can, come across, and most likely it'll look something like this. Right, so once again, if you bought this property, we'd like to acquire this. And then one of the things, the nuances about when you do something with a federal aid, this won't be part of the park system till after the trail is done. It's a nuance with federal aid. And because they're paying for a trailhead here, they're not gonna be happy if there's already a trailhead here, right? And they could look at it that way, and so this part may be rejected by the federal aid or as part of this project. So just sort of a quirk that we have to work around. So right now, all we're doing is wiring right away, local contribution for the business park trail. I think we've already started an appraisal. I would say somewhere between 40 and 60,000 for this property. We don't have that done yet. And Rob, I forgot to ask you, do we need to go ahead and ask approval to move forward on this property? And then once the appraisal's done, we know the price, then we ask for formal approval? Is that probably what we need to do?
Yes, I would suggest asking for approval to move forward, going through this process. Once we get our ducks in a row there, then come back and
Okay.
ask for the funding.
Okay.
Or funding.
So with that, we're open to any questions. I hope it makes sense. Everybody familiar with the property, the old cabin property? It does flood. Occasionally it's in the floodplain. The trail along that part will be elevated. Probably raise the grade. One of the reasons we want to stay out of Taylor Street down here is call it intuition, but I'm afraid that we're gonna find in our records that this was actually when this was abandoned, it was given back in some way to the property here. So this will just, if I put the trail off of Taylor Street, it'll keep it cleaner. We're not sure what happened here when Fall Creek took over this. And then we don't know exactly what happened with this road when the bridge was taken down and this became all Fall Creek Regional Waste District property or not.
So you're asking for approval tonight
To
to
move forward on acquiring the
get
property.
an appraisal and come back with a price. You need to take a vote on that.
All right, I need a motion, to approve moving forward on the land acquisition in which, Scott will come back and we'll start learning some more about the figures, the price. So I need a motion to continue to move forward.
Motion?
Second,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anything else?
I
For
think
tonight?
we're good to go. Guys have anything else?
Wait, anything from the public? Okay, we'll then adjourn.